Hi everyone, this is Mahmoud Rahman from University of Louisville. Today I will talk about seasonal effect of on coronavirus pandemic. To get the full understanding of the basis of today's discussion, you may want to view our recent videos in my channel. In brief, we presented a unique hypothesis that tells us if temperature of our nasal airway becomes few degrees colder than our body temperature, viral replication may happen. Therefore, we need to look at the relationship between weather situation and the pandemic. Let's try to understand coronavirus situation from this map. The latitude line I drew here went through roughly at 36° north and 36° south. I wanted to show a rough picture here, but those are interesting. If you look at coronavirus situation above the top line and below the bottom line, you will probably see two peaks of the daily cases during spring and fall. In the middle, say around equator, you will see peak roughly during summer, especially when weather just turns to very hot. So we can see a very contrasting picture here. If we go through the map from top to bottom, perhaps we will see a picture of the peaks in the following order: spring and fall, then winter, then summer, then winter, and then again spring and fall. Spring, winter, fall is mostly dictated by uh, sorry, peak in spring, winter, and fall is mostly dictated by the atmospheric weather condition, and summer is dictated by air conditioning system. Again, this is a rough picture, not well studied. People's choice, culture, housing condition, uses of air condition, many other things may matter here. But it is enough to get some interesting indication. Perhaps we can safely say that summer is dictated by air conditioning system, especially when if you look at India, during first half of July, studies found that more than 50% of slum dwellers contracted COVID, while the number was around 16% outside of the slum. It is understandable of high number of COVID contracted people in slum area because of their high dense living condition. However, it is surprising to see that deaths in those slum areas were less than 0.05%, which is very low compared to India's overall death case scenario, which is 2%. The weather of Mumbai is hot and humid. During the time, average highest daily temperature was 88 °F and lowest was 77 °F, and an average relative humidity of 81 to 98%. Therefore, it is very likely that who were infected were uh, outside of slum area were infected due to indoor air conditioning system. Mumbai slum study can also be supported by Dhaka slum scenario, where death toll was curiously absent. There was no serologic study as like Mumbai, therefore we don't know how many of Dhaka slum dwellers are contracted COVID. From these studies, we can get an important indication. People in slums area, such as in Mumbai, were contracted to virus, therefore virus was transmitted to them. However, due to lack of favorable condition, virus didn't replicate enough to make them sick. Now let's try to see what are the preferable conditions for virus replication once it is transmitted to the body. Our hypothesis suggests that moderately cold and dry climate is favorable for virus replication by lowering nasal airway temperature. Now let's see some of the coronavirus cases in different parts of the world. In New York, when average monthly temperature was around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, we have seen a peak. Another peak is approaching soon. For Canada, previous peak was around 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Another peak is emerging with the fall of temperature. For China, peak was at around 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And for Italy, it was 53 degrees Fahrenheit. And another peak is emerging at this moment. Temperature data was taken for Kings in New York, Montreal in Canada, Wuhan in China, and Milan in Italy. These data indicates peaks are happening during spring and fall season except China, which is in winter. We will now see another example for peak in winter and for summer. The peak we see for South Africa during their winter time, peak temperature was on average 55 degrees Fahrenheit. For Texas in USA, peak emerged in summer at average temperature of 85 degrees Fahrenheit. This is also true for Florida and other states in USA. When it was hot outside, perhaps people stay indoor more time while inhaling cold and dry air. In USA, hospitals may have played a role in virus infection. At least 1,270 healthcare workers have died in USA. During the COVID time, hospitals are likely highly concentrated zone aerosolized coronavirus with aerosolized coronavirus particles. Air conditioning system of hospitals may have aggravated the situation even more. For example, here is the list of temperature and relative humidity for 3 hospitals in Boston, Massachusetts. While most of the time temperature was around 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, relative humidity was very low around or less than 30%. Therefore, dry air can lower nasal airway temperature. I would recommend to keep temperature at around 75 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe or above, and relative humidity at least at 60% in this pandemic time. Above is better if that does not cause mold growth related complexities. Finally, we would like to remind you the case of Spanish flu. The plot here is shown for New York, London, Paris, and Berlin. Peaks are seen during late October and early November. During winter season such as December and January, peaks disappeared. Instead of looking at the seasonal perspective, we'd like to invite you to look at the temperature range. Temperature range from 45 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, probably the time when virus particle may replicate in our nasal airway. Heavy precipitation can lower temperature significantly, and humidity can play in lowering nasal airway temperature. Some may argue that this plot is for influenza virus pandemic, which may not work same way for coronavirus. Yes, virus structure may play a role here. However, our hypothesis is based on membrane tension, which likely works a similar way, if not the same way, for all envelope viruses. When temperature decreases, membrane tension may increase, and when membrane tension increases, that favors fusion dynamics in such a way that can help in viral replication. For details, please look at our preprint in the description below. Finally, please avoid moderately cold and dry air. Wear mask indoor. Watch our other videos to get more insight and knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate your patience.